Hey, what's up, y'all? Back again with another video. I hope you guys are all doing well and taking care of yourself and staying hydrated. So I want to talk about feeling misunderstood and also friendships, and how there's videos out there that talk about how if you don't have any friends in your friend group, then it must be you. I want to inform you that that is absolutely not true. There's a time to reflect on who you are and to realize your shadow self and what you participate in. But every part of your journey has a season and a phase where things transform and transition and are no longer in resonance to who you were previously. And so with me having Scorpio in the 11th house, which deals with friendships and transformation, because that's what Scorpio is, and dealing with having Scorpio in the 11th house, I never understood why I had not so great friendships, or they lasted for a short time or only for a certain amount of years, or it was kind of rough and challenging with the friendships. There was either jealousy going on, assumptions going on, or people thinking that they could tell me what to do, how to act, where to be. And I basically dealt with that majority of my life, and I would beat myself up thinking that something was fully wrong with me. And I was the type of person where I liked to see people happy. I enjoy seeing people happy. I want them to be who they are. I want them to be their best selves. And so with figuring out that I have Pluto in the 11th house, it made so much sense of why I went through so much transformations with my friendships throughout the years, and why things did not work out. And all of it was working for me so I could get to the place and the mindset of where I am presently at right now. So it all helps, but at the same time, don't always believe what you see on YouTube or TV, because it could be far from the truth of what your blueprint is for your life and what God has for you to experience in this life. So me holding that on, that something's wrong with me, something's wrong with my relationships, I'm not good enough, having those beliefs in my past, working through those relationships, it was very hard and very much so emotional, and it took me into dark spaces. And it was all intended for me to understand who I am, to not look for validation outside of me, to make me happy. And what I soon realized going through that transformation, even when I didn't even know anything about energy, anything about spirituality, vibration, none of those things, even throughout that, I personally knew that I wanted the best for everyone. Okay, I knew that I couldn't change anything that a person, I couldn't change anything of how a person view me because of how I was set up on this journey. And it was all set up for a reason. So having Scorpio in the 11th house, you go through a lot of transformations. You go through a lot of realizations, and that you don't, like me personally, I don't like authority. I don't like when people tell me what to do. And I went through that a lot through family members, friendships, and partnerships. I can understand if I was a destructive person on this planet Earth and wreaking havoc in people's lives. And I wasn't. I truly was not doing that. And with dealing with people wanting to control me and misunderstand me, it made this world really, really hard to be in. And one of the attributes of having Scorpio in the 11th house is that people are jealous of you. I didn't understand why so many people were jealous of who I was. you know? So now I'm using my experiences to help others understand that you are the only one that can transform yourself and love who you are. The love chemical that runs through your body is naturally in your body. And what happens is people try to find love outside of them through another person. So they get love and they get a chemical reaction with the love inside of their body through someone else, and they think that's how you're supposed to continuously get it. And then if that person leaves or they don't like you anymore, then your whole world is shattered. And that is the point. So you could go back into yourself. So that chemical that's running through your body of that love, that you get that excitement through someone else, you basically can activate that within yourself whenever you want. Whenever. Love is already inside of you, and you can activate that whenever you want to. But you have to be able to activate that with sitting with yourself long enough so that you can understand that feeling of being still, not needing anything, not being attached to anything. There's nothing to do, there's nothing to prove. So with that, you will start to activate that love within you. It will start to occur within you. And so when you are ready to like someone, or you are wanting to go on a friendship and have a friendship with someone, then you are able to see clearer. You are not looking for anyone to feed you, to give you that high and validate you. You already been doing that by yourself before you met that individual and before you had that friend. So with that, there's certain ways of how to cultivate yourself and to bring yourself into homeostasis. And I've talked about this as well. Eating well, not attaching to things, and meditation is a start to understanding your own personal love within yourself, and that you don't need it from anyone else. So with having Pluto in the 11th house, there's another tendency of having a struggle within groups, being in groups and being in groups of different mindsets and different beliefs. And within that, it was said that if you have Scorpio in the 11th house and you are around other people, it may be difficult to be around others. And I've always experienced how hard it is to be around people and how I don't like it. And how I just want to separate myself from others, because I don't mind if people have their own beliefs and what they believe in, but I don't enjoy when people are imposing onto me. They could believe whatever they want to believe in, because I'm inside of my own personal body. So they could do what they want to do, but as long as I get to be who I am as well, without feeling judged, without feeling somebody is like being against me or they're my enemy. Nobody is my enemy. And that's how it's being approached when you do share an opinion, when they do ask you. You know, a lot of times I wouldn't really go out of my way to give information if I really truly didn't feel called, or I'll ask, can I disclose, can I, bring this up with you? But other than that, I don't feel like I was imposing on people. And I could give an example when I worked at this one particular job, and I was religious at the time, and this guy, he was atheist, and we got along really well. Him and his girlfriend, we all worked together. We got along really well. And he asked me, why am I religious? And I told him why at the time. I don't even really remember. But to me at that time, it made sense because of where I was at in my mindset. He was telling me how he felt about religion and how he felt like it was not the best thing. Now I understand where he was coming from. So it's all designed for you. For you. You don't meet these people on accident. You don't meet these people on accident. There's a reason, especially if you remember the conversation and then you have an awakening and then you go back to the conversation. There was a reason why you guys met. And you're like, oh, now I get where they were coming from. And it was a cordial conversation. I wasn't mad about him being atheist. I wasn't judging him about being atheist. I actually asked him questions of why he was the way he was or thought the way he was. I've always been inquisitive about why do people do the things that they do? Why? And that is a representation of Scorpio in the 11th house of why do people do these things? I was also wanting to go to school for sociology, and I went into it for a little bit in college. And now I get why I was so intrigued by wanting to observe and understand people on different backgrounds. And I'm so happy that I've always been open to other people and wanting to understand people no matter what background they had, no matter what religion or non-religion they were in. I always knew that there's always something to learn from someone. So me and him, we didn't argue. I didn't give any tenseness. I didn't argue about him and impose on him about anything. It was a nice conversation that we would have throughout the time of me working there. What I did have a problem with is others who would impose that something was wrong with me for my ideas, my mindset, and the way that I think or the way that I talk or the way that I came off. But I was truly accepting of others, and so what would happen is a lot of people in religion would impose on me that something was wrong with me, that I'm doing bad and all this stuff. And that's where tension would come, and then I would get pulled into their crap when I was never on that, and me wanting to just be understood, and so letting go of wanting to be understood by people who want to misunderstand you was the greatest acceptance for me, and allowing me to speak my truth and letting it be, and having my own belief and communicating and allowing myself to communicate when I felt like it was definitely necessary for me to communicate, whether they liked it or not. I wasn't always, communicating with people, but there are times where I'm like, no, I think this conversation needs to be had between me and this person, because I don't like when things linger in the room. I don't like when people have their judgments and then they're being passive aggressive. I don't have time for that. Let's talk about it, get to the point, and move the hell on, because I'm still going to be me. I'm allowed to be myself. No one is allowed to control me. And that's the same thing for you guys. No one is allowed to control who you are and what you think. And a lot of people, they may look at you and be like, oh, I could take advantage of her. She looks nice. So I could tell her what to do. I can get over on her. I can make her my buddy. I could use her when I'm feeling insecure. Have you guys ever noticed that in certain particular friendships where people will use you because they're feeling insecure and they feel like you don't have nothing going on, you don't have any children, you don't have craziness going on in your life, and then they'll try to, be like, oh, let me call this person and use them for their energy because I know that they'll always respond. No, I don't want to be used like that, and I don't even want friendships like that either, because there's no substance from it. There's no intention from it. I've hung out with people who just called me because the other people that they typically go to or typically talk to were unavailable. So they'll go through the line until someone picks up, and you'll be the last person on their list to call, but you were not the first one. And people do this in relationships or dating, and then they ask you to go out and you didn't really want to go out anyways. You could sense the fact that it wasn't a true, pure intention of them wanting to enjoy your energy and hang out with you because they really care about you. It was for their benefit, and that's selfish and that's manipulative. And so as a person who's dealt with friendships and different types of relationships, You have to honor what you are feeling and being like, I truly don't want to hang out right now. And then get off the phone or whatever the case may be, but you honor who you are right then and there. Don't allow people to think that they can control you just because you're their friendship or you're their friend or family member or relationship. Because people think that they can do certain things for you, and then unbeknownst to them, they don't even realize that they think that they can tell you what to do. That you have to be at the dropping call, at every call, that whenever they call you, you have to answer. You have to do all this stuff because they didn't help you with something, or they were there for you during a time where you were down. So now they feel like you owe them something energetically. And that's not okay. That's not working out of purity. And you'll start to soon realize that people don't really care about you. They just want somebody that they can overpower and control. That makes them feel good. That makes them feel important, okay? And they'll have to realize that they have to deal with their own stuff on their own and stop projecting it onto others. And some people will even deny that they were not coming from that space. And it's like, it's very apparent they were coming from that space. They cannot hide it. They can't. It's very, very apparent by through their actions, how they're talking to you. You may even feel like they're being desperate, or there's a sense of panic. I've dealt with that in friendships. So don't fall for it, and don't feel like you have to, or you're obligated to be there for people who are just truly using you as a power source, as a power charge, when they have to be their own battery. And a lot of people are looking for a generator. You're a generator for them, and you have your own battery pack, and they're trying to get a battery, they're trying to get a generator, but they don't realize that they have their own battery within them. They have their own fire within them. You don't have to get a generator if you're already charged up, if you've been doing the work within yourself. And so what happens is that people are just not accepting when you voice your opinion about something of that you notice. They get automatically defensive and offended. They don't know how to open up and be able to talk like two adults. And they just get defensive because they don't want to be wrong. And it's not even about being wrong. It's just coming to a common ground. And a lot of people can't accept that. They want to automatically go to defense instead of just coming to a common ground. You're your own person. I'm my own person. That's it. So experiencing those things, Pluto in the 11th house lifted a lot of weight off of me. And I no longer subscribe to pressure from anyone, from any sort, even if they've helped me. When I help someone, it's coming from a genuine space. It's not coming from a space like, oh, later on when I need something, then later on, if I need something, they will help me. That might not be true. They might not even be available to help me of whatever it may be. But if you're going to truly help someone, help them and leave it at that. Don't try to just help someone just so you can get a thank you out of someone. That's manipulative. You don't do that. You do things out of the purity of your heart because you just genuinely want to give. That's it. You have the energy to give, but not to be like, oh, this person's going to say thank you. They know, everybody knows when they say, when someone helps you, they know that most of the time you're going to get a thank you back. And sometimes people will help you just to get a thank you back. That's not why you help people. That's not why you help people. That is manipulative. You don't do that. You do things out of the purity of your heart, or you don't do it at all. You don't do it at all. Don't do it. Say no. And don't just do it just to feel important, to help someone to feel important. Nobody likes things being held over their head like that. Nobody likes that. This is why a lot of people are getting on their feet, getting their own spot, getting their own, because people have used the fact that they helped someone and now they're dangling a carrot over their head. And they will deny the fact that they're in that energy. They will deny it and say, no, that's not what it is. They will say that. And it's untrue. I've experienced it, and I can feel that in my gut, that it's just like, this don't feel right at all. At all. This does not feel like it has my best interest at heart. So always knowing who you ask for help from, and is it really, really worth it? Or can you do without? You don't need to borrow anything from anyone. Don't borrow stuff from people. Like, people don't, and they won't have the same heart as you. Because for me, if I was in a different situation and somebody asked me for help, I would just do it, especially if I had the money to do it. I would just do it and leave it alone. I'm not looking for something to get back to me, to be given back to me. I truly want to do it because I can feel it in my soul to do this. God is telling me to do this, and I'm not looking to get anything back. Because doing that and coming from that perspective is much better than coming from an ego way of giving or appearing good or looking good, and then they will use that to puppet you around, like I said, and to think that they own you, and that's not okay. So it's important to know who you are and to understand energy, so you won't have to succumb to other people, and how you need things from other people, because they'll use it. Don't ever need anything from anyone. You want to get to that space as much as possible so you don't feel that way. Like, people have to they could toy with you and do whatever. And that's not what we're supposed to be doing here on planet Earth. So it's always just best to try to get yourself in a space where you don't need anything from anyone. And you'll do better, and you'll rely more on God than people. Because people are in their ego. People are wanting to satisfy their ego more than help another person. You could see when someone's truly grateful for what you gave them. You could see it. You could see a person who can accept a compliment and they're not letting it get to their head. You can see it, you can feel it. They're not looking at it that way. They're not looking at it to make their head big. It's a feedback that they're receiving through God, that they know that they worked for that, not on a egotistical human form way. It's a different feeling. It's a different perspective. And it's not in a way where you're trying to drink from other people's energy. None of that, because you get your energy from within and your connection to God, and learning new things about yourself, learning new things overall about how the world works, why we are truly here, and trying to get to a certain space where you are at peace. Because honestly, I talked about this before in my previous video, that the world isn't overpopulated. And the reason why it feels overpopulated, it's because it's overpopulated with fear. It's overpopulated with thoughts that are not helping humanity move forward. It's overpopulated with manipulation. That's the energy that a lot of people are feeling, that feels like we're overpopulated as a whole, and we're not. The energy is overpopulated with bullcrap. That's what's going on. There's a lot of people who their minds are overpopulated with fear. Their minds are overpopulated with trying to prove a point. Their minds are overpopulated of judgment. That's why it feels so heavy. That's why I feel so heavy here and dense. So if you can find a way to be at peace with who you are, with whatever you have right now and the knowledge you have right now, and doing the best that you can to take care of yourself, then you're going to be moving closer and closer to who you truly are. But don't get overly populated with fear and people's thoughts. That's what's really, coming into people's minds. It's that energy that feels like overpopulation. It's the overpopulation of manipulation. That's what it is. So now, of course, it's going to feel like, oh my God, there's so many people. Of course, it's going to feel like that, because we need to offset that and bring balance to more joy and allowing people to be who they are. Like, we're in the age of Aquarius right now. So our individuality is important right now, and speaking on that, speaking on your own personal journey and your own individuality without second guessing it, who you are, and not allowing doubt to creep in. That's another overpopulated energy, is doubt, stagnation. That's what's truly going on. And we're not allowing people to speak their truth. We're not allowing, a lot of people are so defensive, so wanting to be right. Okay, so wanting to prove a point and not hearing what their friend has to say. No, everybody wants to protect their facade. That's what people want to do. And so it's okay if you are alone on this journey, because you will soon realize that being alone is much more peaceful. And it's not the fact that you hate people or anything like that. You're starting to understand that a lot of this stuff was created to cause difficulty, to cause sickness, to drain people, and put their energy in areas where it's not even beneficial to them. So when you become unbiased and start to detach from beliefs and the way people do things, you will start to get more energy back into you, right back into you, right back into you. You will start to receive more energy back into you when you're like, I am tired of feeding into racism. I'm tired of experiencing that. So I'm going to unplug. I've done enough work on that situation. I participated enough in that whole racism thing. Now I'm ready to step out of that. What will happen if I just don't pay attention to that anymore? If I don't pay attention to that anymore, of racism, I was involved enough. I had a stance in that enough. I don't care about it anymore. So I want to broaden myself into not looking at everybody as their race. What can open up there? Oh, maybe new friendships, maybe a new relationship. What else could come from that? Oh my gosh, I spent so much energy into that, and now I understand that me paying attention to that didn't help me at all. It caused more chaos, because it's an energy thing that it's connected to. So how much can you release on certain particular things that a lot of people participate in? And how can you turn the other way, away from that, and see what happens? And see what happens. And everything that happens is supposed to happen. Like, I got invited to go to do the BLM thing, the march thing or whatever. I got invited to that, and I instinctively didn't go. And I think it's because I didn't have any money at the time to even have gas money to go. And looking back at it, I'm so glad that I didn't participate in that, because my energy would have been going into that. And God was showing me something different. And during that time, I was not hanging out with anyone. And so there was a clearing going on during that time. And now I look back and I'm just like, oh yeah, I see there was a lot of things that were, it was, that whole movement was tied and back to falseness and yeah, just falseness, and it didn't have integrity behind it. So, everybody is serving their own purpose and their own realizations. That wasn't my thing to go and march and do that. The whole racism thing, that whole paradigm shut down for me, to where I don't care about your race. What is your energy? And I've said this before, what does that soul do? I don't care about what that mouth do. What does your soul do? Because I'm going to feel your soul before I hear you speak. That's how I move. And that's the whole thing about having Scorpio in the 11th house. I'll be able to see you, all of you, and who you are in an instant. I could feel it. And so that's what Scorpio represents, is revealing. Having Pluto in Scorpio is revealing, changing things, going against the grain, not being the same as everyone else. I don't have to be the same as everyone else. And throughout my whole life, a lot of people have made me feel like I had to do things a certain way to get a certain thing, to be smart, to look a certain way, to get that partner or this. I don't have to move like that, because it was never for me in the first place. Having Pluto, Scorpio and Pluto, that signifies transformation and change through all areas of my life, and learning in a deep, deep, deep way. So even me being a Leo, I'm a pretty deep person. I'm a pretty deep person, and I have different aspects that represent depth, that a lot of people are not willing to go within themselves and transform and to look at their darkness, So we're all on this journey, and for a specific reason. We all have our own unique blueprint, and we should all be allowed to be that and do that through the eyes of God, not anybody else, not anyone else. So if you can hold on to that and allow life to unfold for you, and not stressing of how things are going to be, you will start to trust yourself more, and you will start to get more connected to God, more connected to God. Okay. So with that being said, continue to be yourself. There's nothing to rush. A lot of people make you feel like there's something to rush, when I'm telling you it's all being pan out the way that it's supposed to. The people who did not believe in you, they will see later on, like, oh my gosh, that individual that was in my life, or that partner was in my life before, they will see why you were in their life. Because if they don't appreciate it now, they will soon see it once things, split, or you move on to the next situation. They'll see it in due time. I've had plenty of times where I've dated people and I would run into them, and I think I've told this story before. I ran into them and they've apologized. Majority of the relationships that I had, or people that I dated and how they treated me while I was dating them, they apologized soon after, or I ran into them. Okay, so don't lose faith on who you are and why things are working out the way that they are. You are being used as a vessel through God, for God. So that is your role. If you resonate with this, if this has been something that you've gone through in your life, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm the type of person, they talk about healing, and this is not coming from an egotistical way, but some people are here to heal in different forms. Some people are here to heal through acting, singing, art, and that could be all spiritual, if the person is connected to themselves. And some people are used in a different form, like me, to show them how to be the best person that they can be, and live in the moment and experience the moment. Stop being so damn scared of the moment. Stop being scared of the people that you attract, and enjoy yourself and treat people correctly. That's what you want to do. That's what I recognize. That was my role during that time. is to show people like, even if we're not going to be in a relationship or a friendship for that long, I still want to have a fun time. I still want to enjoy what is right now. I'm not worried about, I'm not scared about your demons or the things that you've done in your past. I've never been the type of person that would really judge someone like that. And in that regard, I would be open enough to see what they were about, no matter what their background is, and then I would choose, like, I don't think this is the best for me. I don't think that dating a stripper is the best for me. I'm not judging them for doing that, because obviously if I went on dates with them and I wasn't looking for anything sexual from them, I was truly wanting to get to know who they were and their world is and what they deal with. But I still don't think that's for me, and that's okay. That was no judgment of using my own discernment of what I know. I probably don't want to deal with that. I could deal with it. I was open, and I don't think that was the best fit for me. And so me being able to go to the depths of myself and date different people who were in these different types of crowds and into different things gave me a lot of experience of how to deal with people, and that we're all have experienced trauma to some degree. All of us. So we shall not judge what we don't understand. And if you want to understand something or it's making you feel weird, try to understand it. See if you can get past what you've been taught when you were younger. Because you could look at someone's birth chart and they were a stripper for a reason. They got all these Scorpio placements. I follow someone now that was a sex worker, and now she's helping people in a spiritual sense through learning all those people that she was in contact with in her past. So we shall never doubt why we go through the things we go through or judge anybody for the things that they go through, because it doesn't feel good to get projected on. It doesn't feel good to get judged or people to be jealous of you. I personally don't like when people are jealous of me. Like, I can't stand that. And it's just like, oh my God, how do I work through people who are jealous of me when they have their own light within them? They have their own freedom within them. Why are you jealous of me? You have your own unique thing. I should be inspiring you if you see me as, oh, she's bougie. She thinks she has a perfect life. And if you should be inspired. I get inspired. I could get inspired from anyone. In fact, I find inspiration first inside of myself first. I don't use other people. Like if people are hating on me, I got out of that whole thing of when I figured out I was always encountering people who were jealous, and all I wanted to do was love my friends and love my partners and stuff like that. I would try to prove to them, I'm gonna prove them wrong by getting this job. And I stopped doing that because it fizzled out, because it was coming from outside. So I reverted it back into me, and now I could find fire within myself. I can ignite that within myself. I can ignite that love within myself. I don't have to rely on somebody to give it to me. I don't need to anymore. I went through enough pain to understand that's not the way to go. It's highs and lows with trying to get validation from people. You got to know when to stop, when to walk away from others, when to speak less and stay silent, when to speak your truth and communicate and leave it at that. And if they don't understand, you leave it. And you can handle it. You can handle the fact that they don't understand you. If you can't handle the fact that people are going to misunderstand you, there's a possibility that they will understand you, speak less. Until you can get to a point where you're like, I'm going to communicate with this person, whether they feel or they are going to understand it. I feel like they're going to understand it. I'm not sure. but I'm going to try anyway because I feel that there's an urge to do this right now. And I'm getting confirmation through various things. Then go ahead and speak your truth and stand in it. Stand in it. They might come back later and be like, you know what, at first when you said something, I couldn't hear it. Now I can hear what you are saying. I understand it now. Okay, boom. But sometimes you're the person where you just look like the a-hole to everyone because you know how to speak up firmly for who you are. And others don't because they're scared of life. They're scared that something bad is going to happen to them because they spoke their truth to their boss, to the family member. Like, this shit is dumb. It's stupid. We should not be feeling like that. We should have an open enough heart to feel that sting of someone being like, oh, I felt like you did this, this, and that to me. And talk about it so we can move forward. We're not against each other. We're not. We're absolutely not against each other. It doesn't have to be that way, you know. So don't worry about friends once you start to take care of who you are on all bases, because you never want to allow someone to emotionally control you, and working on that every single day. And then when you're working on that every single day, when something happens, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I really am safe inside of my body. I really am safe inside of my body. And God is here right now. God is approving of this situation, of it happening. And you'll get better with your confidence and feeling at peace with who you are. That's the point of life. And sometimes it's hard to accept that about life, of this is what we're really here to do, because you have a job, some people may have kids, and it could be a huge distraction and get you off track of why you truly are here. But if you can always come back to yourself at some point of the day, work it in there, knowing when to rest for yourself, doing what feels good to you when you know this feels good, listening to your favorite song and not giving that favorite song to a spouse or a partner, or proving anything to anyone. You're listening to that music for you to feel good. The moment that you try to trying to reminisce when you're listening to a song, you're giving your power away. You want to enjoy that song with yourself. That is the love. That is the love that you have within you. And you realize, like, oh my gosh, it feels even better. This song sounds even better because I'm not giving it to someone. I'm not giving my love to someone who's not even here, who doesn't even appreciate it. So you're listening to the song for you, and you'll be able to enjoy the song and love on yourself while you're listening to the song. So thank you guys so much for listening. I hope that helps, and I will be back again with another episode. Peace.